Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 39 of the Friday Nightmares podcast. On this episode, we are talking about children's horror stories. I am one half your hosting team this evening, Mr. Smokeshow Crawford, coming to you from the town of Swartz Creek in the county of Genesee, in the state of Michigan, in the United States of America, in the North American continent, in the Western Hemisphere, on the planet Earth, in the Milky Way galaxy. I'm fully vaxxed, waxed, back from vacation, and ready to be called daddy. And if you can, please get me wet and feed me after midnight.
Coming out with Scott's new rock album. That's actually where we've been for the last couple of weeks. Scott's been recording his upcoming LP drop.
Rocking out with my cock out.
Feed me after midnight. And for the listeners who don't know who this is, because it's been so long, it's Heather Powell coming to you from Waterdown, Ontario, Canada. We're just coming back from, I guess you could say, a summer break. But it was only a couple of weeks, but it probably feels like a lot more since we recorded. I guess it's been almost a month.
Yeah, I'll say, I think it's been about 4 weeks or so.
Right. So we did our slasher episode. Hopefully everybody enjoyed that. That was with Nudie. We did our top 5 slashers, and that was a lot of fun. We're going to have more of those top 5 episodes coming out as the rest of the year progresses. Scott came back from his UP trip. For everyone who's not from Michigan, the UP is the Upper Peninsula, and it is up, I don't know, like 7 hours away. And Scott went up there and hashtag lived his best life for a week.
Yeah, I would say just pretty much relaxing it up, enjoying nature, swimming in the lake every single day, jumping in the sauna. I wish I could be nude. I'd probably scare all the buddies away that I was around.
Yeah, they'd be intimidated, Scott, more than anything. That's what would happen.
That's true. I'd be like, hey guys, check this out. Kickstand.
They'd be like, "Oh, not only does he have all the magic cards, he also has a big dick." It'd just be really
and don't forget dozens of listeners.
That's what you and we both have dozens of listeners. So thank you to our dozens of listeners who continue to download and listen.
We love
Scott
you all.
And I talk about random shit. We really do appreciate it. So this episode, I think you introduced it, is children's horror stories. Did you introduce it?
Yeah.
Okay. Fuck.
See,
can you tell?
Again, you could tell we're back to it because Heather's already not paying attention to me.
Well, I thought you did, but then I kind of just got so excited to be back recording with you that I guess I couldn't remember 5 seconds ago. Or maybe it's because I took a look at our 2021 watch list and I was like, holy fuck, we watched a lot of movies that we have to talk about.
Well, more like you watched a lot and I watched a couple.
Yes, you were away, so you couldn't. I had a staycation. So I did a lot of partying. Finally went back to the movie theaters for one of my watches on here. Movie theaters have opened in Ontario. So that was really awesome. Pretty pumped for another movie theater watch that's coming up soon at the end of this month, Candyman.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, Scott, how many more days is it till Halloween? I'm just not sure. I haven't looked on Facebook today to be reminded.
I'm not sure. Probably.
Oh no, Scott, we're not real horror fans if we're not counting down the days till Halloween.
I don't count down the days till Halloween till October.
Is it? Okay. I thought you did a September countdown.
Well, I used to do that when I did my first time watches. It'd be like first time watches, blah blah blah. It started in September and October. But all I do now is first time watches, so I don't pay attention.
Unless we're watching it for an episode, like a show or something like that.
Right.
We have to watch something again.
Oh,
so it is. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just about to say, and we are recording on Friday the 13th.
Are you going to watch? Oh my God, are you going to be such a fucking basic white bitch and watch fucking Friday the 13th movies after this?
Maybe. Might watch some 2021s.
You know what we should do? We should do tonight? We should watch the television series Friday the 13th. Just to be different from everybody else, and then post all the episodes that we're watching from the Friday the 13th series.
Yes. Actually, no, what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch all the Halloween movies tonight.
Oh, even better. And then say, oh man, isn't Jason great in Halloween 2? All the horror fans we go from like zero to like, I don't know, however subscribers we have on our Facebook page, like nobody in the group. They're
Right.
all
Like everyone's like, yep, we're done.
they're all like, fuck these guys. I feel like so much stuff has happened over the last month, but then I get on to talk to you and I'm like pulling a blank of anything that I possibly wanted to talk about. Isn't that brutal? Like I was
I
like,
know.
oh man, I got to remember this really funny thing that happened that I'm going to share with Scott on Friday Nightmares. And now I'm like, I don't know. The only thing I'm regretting is I haven't seen M. Night Shyamalan's Old. And
Oh yeah.
I can't find anyone to go to the movie theater with me. And just because of timing, I haven't had a chance to go to the theater yet. And I really want to see it, but everyone's shitting on it. No one's liking M. Night Shyamalan a Ding Dong's new movie.
I'm sure it's got a twist.
What did you say?
I said, I'm sure it's got a twist.
Oh, twist. I thought you said, like, I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Do you want to see it?
I'm curious about it. I seen the preview for it and I'm like, this looks very interesting. And
it looks like very M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, and I was saying
Like
I'm all about checking out his movies.
So that and Candyman, we're going to talk about some 2021 movies that came out on Netflix as well, and our main topic. So that will kind of be fun to review those. I'm going to Canada's Wonderland tomorrow, and I'm going to be riding some roller coasters.
Yeah, you are.
My fucking 38-year-old ass getting up on these fucking roller coasters should be pretty entertaining.
You're going to be getting done off the roller coaster going, ow, my back.
My back, my hips, my tum-tum. Anybody have any Tums? Anyone have any Pepto? What about some gravel? Yeah, I feel like I should pack all that shit with me, like in a little fanny pack that I walk around the park with. And I have my little fanny that I can take out and do stuff with. But this time, like I was saying to my girlfriend,
I love it when you take out your fanny.
Everyone loves it when I take out my fanny. No one more than me. But I was saying to my girlfriends, they're like teasing me, right? They're like, oh man, like, because I used to be a real daredevil, right? Like I would go on every ride, didn't matter how scary it was, didn't matter how big it was. I would go on it. Even so much so, I went to Wet and Wild, which is a water park, everybody, just so we're clear. It's an American chain up here in Canada. And there's a capsule water slide where you step in and the ground is removed from underneath you. It drops and it completely free falls you, drops you. And going up to the top of the slide, I was like talking smack, right, to the chick I was going up with. I'm like, yeah, man, this is nothing. I'm not even scared. I got into that fucking capsule, Scott. And honestly, I'm like, I regret my decision. So you're in there and they make you cross your arms, cross your feet. You have to lean up against the wall. And it's literally, you're looking down, you're like, this floor is going to go out. Like it's going to drop me free fall. And I'm just going to fall. And they count down, right? So they lock you in the capsule. They close the door and lock you in there. And then they walk back over. So you have to watch them walk over to the launch pad. They push a button and then you hear 3, 2, 1, launch. And the fucking floor moves around underneath you and you fucking free fall. And honestly, I'm pretty tough, but I was like, I got off that ride and I was shaking because it was so quick. This water slide was quite tall, but because you free fall, you're going so fast, like you don't even realize how fast you're going. I opened my eyes at one point and all I could just see was water in them. Like I couldn't see anything because we were going so quickly. I couldn't even like react to what was going on around me.
That's crazy.
It was crazy. So, I'm wondering how Wonderland's going to go. Because when I was a young Heather, so you can imagine if I'm doing that shit at 38, what I was doing at fucking 18, right?
Right.
I would go on roller coasters 3 or 4 times in a row. Didn't matter how tall, didn't matter how fast. I still did it. Now I'm all like, do I really want to go on that roller coaster? How much, like already, I'm going and I'm like, okay, I'm not going on any spinny rides. Like I'm not going, like I'm choosing the ride so I can last the maximum amount of the day. So I'm really looking forward to seeing my trauma tomorrow and how that goes.
I cannot wait to hear about it.
And even my girlfriends are like, oh, are you going to smoke tomorrow before you go on the rides? I'm like, are you fucking insane? I'm not going to fucking smoke weed and then go on a roller coaster. What do I look like, a 17-year-old to you? Fucking can't handle it.
Oh, that would be horrible.
I can barely handle some weed sometimes when I smoke it in my backyard. I can't imagine how I would feel going on a fucking roller coaster doing that.
Oh, that would be insane.
It would be insane. So that's kind of like the most quote unquote fun things I have done, and a bunch of fires and stuff, but you were really living it up. I'm so glad you had a great time away. Rest, relaxed, swam, engaged in some beverages, engaged in some other things.
Scotty got pretty drunk and high.
I was pretty proud of you. I'm not going to lie. Every time that you told me you were drunk and high, I just responded with, I'm so proud of you. You know why? You deserve to have a good time, Scott.
I know. I was like it was very nice to just get away, escape, and just chill.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to ask you, and aren't you proud of me saying that I needed this? I didn't post that anywhere.
No, oh my God, last year I so needed this. I'm like, shut the fuck, Scott. So this year I probably would have understood it a bit more because you've had some interesting experiences. But I guess we should make a pretty big announcement if it's able to happen. So as we all know, borders have officially opened.
Yay!
Canadians can go over to the United States through land and flight for social reasons. My mistake. Americans can come here through land and flight for social reasons, any reasons they want. So the plan is that Scotty, hopefully, providing no major issues, and we can figure out exactly what he needs to do for a COVID test. He needs to have one before he comes into Canada, but we need to figure out if he needs one to go back because America hasn't officially opened their land borders for tourism until August 21st.
Yep.
So hopefully Mr. Biden will make a decision, or President Biden will make a decision on what the requirements will be. If Scotty will have to get a COVID test here before he goes back, which will mean his nostril will get dilated twice. But yes, so hopefully, fingers crossed, everything goes as planned. And I think we're planning, the 17th to the 19th, Scotty?
Something like that. Yeah, I think that's what we were going to shoot for, was the middle of September.
Yeah.
Let's just hope this Delta variant doesn't fucking ruin it for everybody. You unvaccinated bastards, go get your vaccine.
I don't know, if you're listening to our podcast and you haven't got the vaccine and it's not because of a medical reason, and I'm careful when I say religious reasons, I do want to respect your people's religions, but please consider it. It's a pretty good idea. But that aside, hopefully, I don't think things will close. I think hopefully the US, Scott, I could fly into the States right now. If I wanted to fly in, I could. I would just have to get a COVID test before I arrived and before I come back. So that's what we have to figure out with Scott. And then I have to figure out how much a COVID test will cost him. It's a lot of work, but Scotty's worth it.
Aww.
Scotty is worth it. We have so many fun plans. We're going to go on a ghost walk, like a real ghost walk. Like Scott and I are going to fucking walk around like it's Grave Encounters. Ghost! Imagine we go to some fucking ghetto high school and we're walking around it, and that's what you do when you come up here.
Hi, I'm a white boy with a camera. Walking around a spooky abandoned place.
Shitty found footage film. We go to all the Targets so we can look at the fucking ghost of Target Pass in Canada. Anyway, and then we're going to be going out to a bar, and then we're going to go to Niagara Falls, and we're going to go to Screamers, which makes me want to pee my pants, but we'll see if we can get through it. If not, maybe Scott and I will check it out and go to one of the other baby haunted houses. Who knows? Hopefully meet up with Christian and Vince as well from the TGIF Friday Fan Podcast, and possibly Dave C, depending on what the requirements are in order to come back to Canada. I don't know how much he's going to want to get, swabbed in one day to just come over for an afternoon. So, right. So fingers crossed it's going to happen. We've been planning it. This is supposed to be for Scotty's big birthday. I don't know if you want to say how old you're going to be, Scott.
Oh yeah, I'm going to be 32 now. I'm going to be hitting 40. So, my birthday is October 8th. So, it'd be sweet to celebrate a little early with you, and then hopefully celebrate with a friend of the show, Liz, later on as well.
Yes, a friend of the show. Yes. Not a personal friend of ours at all, Scott. She's only friends with Friday Nightmares podcast.
You know what I mean.
I know, I'm just razzing you. But yeah, I'm so excited that hopefully Scotty can come up. I want to introduce him to my friends and take him around. And more than anything, one of the biggest things I started talking to him about was the amount of weed we were going to smoke and the amount of drinking that we were going to do. And like the drinks I was going to bring on the Ghost Walk tour that we're going to pay for. So we have roadies and then the pre-drinking we're going to go have here before we go.
Just to give everybody an example of how planned Heather really is. She's asking me, okay, so what type of booze would you like to have for our pre-drink game, like before we go out and actually hit up the bar? Would you prefer beer, and what kind of beer? I'll pick it up before you get here. And blah, blah, blah.
I know.
This
like,
woman knows
liquor?
how to plan out to party.
I was going to get, like, so this everyone knows, when I go out, I go out. So I'm going to get us disposable plastic coffee cups or water bottles from the dollar store. And I was said, I'll make you a mixed drink or a beer, and we'll bring it with us for roadies in the cab. And also when we walk around on this ghost tour, and like, I'm going to have pre-rolled joints. We're going to be lit. And so you guys, if he comes up here, we will be going live tons. I am sure of it. Yep, we're going to look like live, Dan and Lacey, only not as good looking. like we're going to be the Dollar Tree version of Dan and Lacey.
Oh, it's going to be freaking hilarious.
Funny. Hopefully we'll at least be funny. Yeah. So yeah, fingers crossed that it works, man. It's been a year and a half since Scotty and I have seen each other in person. I was actually thinking as I was eating lunch today, oh my God, we started this show 2 months before the pandemic happened. Yeah. The rest of the time we have been in COVID mode recording this fucking show. So I'm really excited for him to come up here. Super excited to go through Screamers because I'm going to have to woman up and try to get through this fucking haunted house, especially if Vince and Christian are with us. I don't know. I'm going to scream. It's going to be terrifying.
It's going to be amazing.
But anyway, it's so exciting. And it's my girlfriend's birthday that weekend. So Scotty will be there for her birthday as well. So we'll be able to rip it up.
Hell yeah, it's going to be so much fun.
It will be a lot of fun. So anyway, stay tuned. Hopefully that happens. Who knows? We go day by day here on Friday Nightmares.
Right? Like we at least have an idea. Like before we were just like, oh, we could shoot for this day. It's like, nope. Now we actually have a date set in stone. Now we just wait to make sure it all goes accordingly.
I think it will be fine. I think the only thing we have to figure out is if you need a COVID test to come home. Yeah. And the cheapest place I can find that for you to get it. Now, mind you, you're bringing over your rich American dollars, so it goes a lot further here.
Maybe we can find somebody to do it in a back alley for us.
Hey, and they'd be the most polite back alley ever.
Yes.
And I had to break it to Scott. I'm like, there's still a mask mandate here, and like they take it seriously. Like you'll get kicked out if you don't put on a mask. So make sure you bring one because if you try to walk into a place without a mask, either a customer will say something to you or the store will ask you to leave. Like it's that fucking serious.
See, like, I wish America would be like that.
And we're both fully vaxxed, both Scott and I. So just so everyone knows, we are fully vaxxed and healthy, I guess. Well, besides healthy, our aches and shit.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, well,
we don't have COVID.
That's relative.
Besides Scott's bad hip and my tennis elbow. Otherwise, my sciatica, we're doing okay. We just don't have COVID, but everything else we have, right? So I guess we should get into our 2021 movies. Unless you want to talk about anything else that's coming up this month or anything you're excited for.
Oh yeah, actually, speaking of friend of the show and friend of
just
ours.
a friend of the show. Did you hear that, Liz? I just want you to know, Liz, that you're my friend. Well, maybe not Scott's, but you're my friend, Liz.
If you would let me finish as a friend of the show and friend of ours, Liz will be coming to visit here at the and well, by the time everybody hears this in about a week. So yeah, we're gonna be hanging out, gonna take her around the exciting places of Michigan. We're gonna hang out, watch some movies, eat some yum food, hang out, and have a great time.
Man, there's nothing I love more than eating.
Oh, eating's amazing.
Are you going to take her to that Mexican restaurant that you said you were going to take me to, but then never happened?
I don't know, maybe.
You guys will take pictures and I'll just be so happy for you that I'll just say something to you privately later that she can't see. But you know what? You are a fun time, Scott. She is going to have so much fun visiting you. I do miss visiting you very much.
Oh,
so I do. It's sad. It really is. But at the same time, you got to come to Canada now anyways, because it's a fucking lot easier to come to Canada. And we're going to have a great time. We're going to rip it up hard.
Yep.
when
And
you come
I'll
here.
say, finally, the Friday Nightmares comes back together and parties it up.
Oh man, and 2 years almost after knowing each other. So it's cool because when we hung out before, we only knew each other for a couple of months. Now I
Yeah.
think we know each other so well that we can text something and we can read the subtext behind the text.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, like you were saying when we were recording the show, literally, we only recorded 2 shows in person, and then pandemic hit.
Yeah, and we just kept now we talk on the phone all the time. Like, let's make something clear here. Scott and I just don't
Yeah.
talk when we record. I'm sure people have put together that we're besties for life, and we talk basically every day, I think, almost, and on the phone at least 5 to 6 days a week, on average, even if it's for a couple of minutes.
Yep.
But I would say, generally speaking.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like, even when I was on vacation, you were still hearing from me.
Absolutely. Well, we have a little group chat with Brandon. It's this little threesome we have of love that we have that we call all the time. Facebook Messenger is great for that too.
Oh, it is.
Right. All right. Let's get into these 2021s before people turn off this podcast. And we'll get into the first one. The Boy Behind the Door. So this is an 88-minute movie. It is available on Shudder. Basically, the short synopsis is, after Bobby and his best friend Kevin are kidnapped and taken to a stranger's house in the middle of nowhere, Bobby manages to escape, but he goes back for his friend. So, what did you think of this one, Scotty?
I really enjoyed this one. I've seen where it is on your list, so it's not as high for me as it was for you.
Yeah, I moved it to number 1. I don't even know if I was just that, like, yeah.
Oh, it wasn't even at number 1 when I seen it last night.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. My lie. It's number 9. I don't know why I said it was number 1. It's number 9. Never mind.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like, I thought the acting all around was very solid. It had a very creepy, tense atmosphere to it. The idea or like just the plot of this story is just kind of fucked up and creepy, just with the whole kidnapping of children.
Mm-hmm. And what they're being used for.
Yeah, it's pretty.
It's hard to kind of put your mind around that.
Yeah, I'll say, but holy crap, the kid actors absolutely incredible, freaking nailed it. And I was so happy to see Pam from True Blood in this, because I haven't seen her in anything since True Blood, and she did a freaking awesome job.
Yeah, she was awesome. The kids were awesome. Great film, 88-minute runtime. Mwah. This is exactly what a horror film should be. You get invested in the characters right away. It's a fast-moving film. You really don't know how things are going to end. You're hopeful, but you don't really know. It's definitely a must-watch on Shudder. It's available on all the Shudder. So Shudder Amazon, regular Shudder, and then also DirecTV. Now, have you seen the next one, Scotty?
I have not. This is one that I've been wanting to check out.
All right, I will talk about it briefly then. This is also a Shudder watch. It is Kandisha. It is an 85-minute runtime. It is very similar to the story of Candyman. So I think all cultures have a similar story. Queen of Spades kind of did the same thing too. The idea of a ghost that if you engage in a certain ritual, you can call that ghost and it will stalk you. So this movie was, I found, very, very enjoyable. Yes, it's a familiar plot line. So if you feel like this is ripping off Candyman, that's fine. But Candyman isn't the only place where this folklore exists. This folklore is fairly common. The female actresses in this do a great job. All the characters are likable. You're invested in everyone. There's some awesome gory kill scenes in it. It's available on Shudder. It's worth the watch. Scotty, when you get a chance, I think you definitely need to watch this for our awards.
Okay, I think this was going to be one that I was going to try to watch either tonight or tomorrow.
You will definitely dig it. I think there could be a Best Kill award.
Ooh, nice.
In this one. Yeah, I think there's a good contender for this one. So we're looking for this bad boy on Shudder, as I said. So Amazon and regular Shudder, but it's also on AMC Plus. So I guess it's available to rent on AMC Plus. Who let the dogs out? Scotty did. Scotty's sitting some pit bulls right now. So they're keeping him on his toes. Well, while he's trying to get those pit bulls, I'll skip to one other one that I know he hasn't had a chance to watch yet, and he's going to be back on with us shortly. So another movie that I watched that was a 2021 watch was Meander. So Meander is available on Netflix. It's more of a science fiction movie. I believe it's a French film. It's a 91-minute runtime, and basically it follows the same concept as Cube. A woman wakes up and she is stuck in tubes and she has to climb through. And I'm not giving anything away there. You can see from the from the title or from the poster what happens. And it's actually a really, really interesting film. Now, I had it up on Netflix here in Canada. It's saying that it's available on iTunes, Google Play, Vudu, YouTube, in Canada, and then I don't know, some other channel that I've never heard of before. So I really enjoyed it, though it is more science fiction-y. Did you see Meander?
No, this is one I was going to ask you about.
I think you'll like it, Scott. It's really interesting. It's very science fiction-y, very much like Cube. I dug it a lot.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, and I think you will get behind the main character. The main protagonist is actually very good. So Meander is available, as I said, on iTunes, Google Play. I could have swore I watched it on Netflix or Prime or some kind of free service or something like that. If you play, sorry, go ahead.
I think I know where you watched it. I think it was a Good Friends Plex.
No, but I saw it somewhere else too.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, so I did see it on a Good Friends Plex, but I thought I saw it somewhere else, but maybe it is just available for rent. $3.99, $5.99. I think if you enjoyed Cube, you'll like this movie. Definitely watch it. Definitely check it out. So I just jumped forward because you were busy dealing with the pitties. So we'll go back to Knifecorp because that's the one you watched.
All right. So, Knifecorp is a horror comedy about a high school senior Wally Banks who sells knives door to door and gets trapped in a psychotic man's house, and he must escape before it's too late. And this stars Kane Hodder as the man of the house. And this movie is...
Isn't Daniel Harris in this too?
No.
Oh, that's another one I saw with Kane Hodder and Daniel Harris, a preview that I saw. Okay.
But yeah, this one, I think it's pretty fun. It's not like going to be high up, like super high on my list, but I found all the characters endearing, and the whole door-to-door knife salesman thing is just kind of funny, like a silly thing, especially when there's a killer. It just makes the whole plot come together. And Kane Hodder does a great job of just being like over the top and also extremely intimidating when he wants to be. I found this it's definitely one that I would recommend to you. I think it's like the type of comedy you would get a kick out of.
Yeah.
And I'd probably recommend it to Brandon too. I think you both would enjoy it.
Now, it's a lower budget film, right?
Yes.
Would you say it's a contender for our lower budget awards?
Possibly, yes.
Okay, cool. I like the concept because, there used to be that door-to-door knife sales, which I haven't seen any door-to-door sales anymore because of COVID. Do you guys still have those out by you?
No, I think COVID has pretty much destroyed that for now.
Thank fucking God. I used to hate fucking door-to-door salespeople. And I get it. They're just doing their job, but so annoying. So I probably would dig this movie quite a bit. You're right.
Yeah, I think you would have fun with this one. It's very, very silly, tongue-in-cheek, and just... like I said, all the actors did a great job with their roles too. It's just very entertaining.
That's awesome. So I guess I'll jump into my first theater watch of this year. Yeah, first theater watch of this year.
Such a noob.
Well, yeah, I didn't have a fucking choice. Escape Room Tournament of Champions. Now, I don't know how many people have been listening to me, but one of my first podcasts I did was a top list of 2019 films, and Escape Room came out in January 2019, and it was one of my favorite movies. Still is. I love Escape Room. I think it's a great fucking film.
Oh, it's so much fun.
It is. It's a lot of fun. So of course, when I heard, you assume at the end of Escape Room 1 they're doing Escape Room 2. They kind of set it up for a sequel.
Oh yeah.
So walking into this, I knew it was going to be a sequel. It's not bad. I think that if you were lukewarm on the first Escape Room, I don't think you're going to enjoy this one. I think the escape rooms are definitely more elaborate and interesting, but some of the characters kind of stay out their welcome. Specifically, Ben. Ben makes some jokes in this movie where I was like, really?
Oh.
Really? It was kind of like, how he was really funny in the first one?
Yeah, I was just going to ask if this is the same Ben that I was
thinking it's over the top.
Okay.
It's just every 5 seconds. And I just kind of was like, But the rooms are really cool. There's some interesting new characters that we're introduced to. We get a better understanding of the corporation that runs the escape room. I think Zoe, or the young lady that plays her, Taylor Russell, is a great actress. I think Logan Miller does a good job too. I think everyone does a good job in this film for what it is. And the special effects are great. Definitely a good theater watch, but you will have to have liked Escape Room 1 to really enjoy this sequel, in my opinion. If you did, it's definitely worth going to the theaters. If not, you could definitely rent it when it comes out. And I would say a $3.99 rental is fair if you weren't super hot on Escape Room, or just wait till it drops on Netflix. And don't worry about watching it this year and watch it next year. Because if you weren't super hot on the first one, you're probably not going to be super hot on the next one. So that's my thoughts.
That is fair. But yeah, I definitely I was wanting to see this in theater, but I think I missed my chance. I'll just wait for a release somewhere streaming and check it out, because I did, you know me, I did love the first movie. So I look forward to seeing what this one's like.
I think you'll enjoy it. Honestly, like I think when Liz comes out, if you guys have access to it, I would say the two of you should watch it. It's fun.
All right.
Like it's an easy to watch. It's a 88-minute runtime. It's short. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It gets to the point. Is it the best movie of the year? No. Is it entertaining? Yeah.
Nice.
Even your roommate would like it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that definitely sounds like something right up Tim's alley.
Yeah, he would enjoy it.
Yeah, and speaking of, you said it a couple times.
Super hot. I know I did that purposely.
You've seen this one as well, right?
I have, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, this one, Super Hot, is about a pizza delivery girl who discovers her neighbor is moving into a sorority house of vampires. And that's pretty much all you need to know. This is another really low budget comedy. This one was recommended to us by good old Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
And this, he nailed it on the head when he described it as the main woman in this reminds me of Napoleon Dynamite. And holy crap, she reminds me a lot of Napoleon Dynamite. Just very dry wit, dry sense of humor, very monotone the whole way through it. But once again, another movie that has a lot of charm and heart to it.
You know what? This movie was so low budget it hurt. But it didn't hurt the film.
Yeah.
I feel like they had no money, but they managed to get people that had enough acting chops to pull this shit off.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I don't know who these people are, but I can guarantee you some of them we're going to see again in later films.
Yeah, I can definitely see like two of the main characters for sure.
Even the sorority girls weren't bad for the roles they played. And I think Brandon and you are 100% right. If you dig Napoleon Dynamite, then you will like this film.
Which is kind of funny because I was not a fan of Napoleon Dynamite.
But you haven't seen it for a long time. I bet if you watched it now, you would have a different opinion on it.
That is true.
Right? Because that is a movie that kind of grows on you, for lack of a better word. So it would be really interesting to see you watch it now, but I think your opinion of it was right on. It's available for rent on Prime. Also, if you have Prime, you can just watch it for free. And I say it's worth a $3.99 rental or $2.99 rental if you don't have it. But if it's for free and you liked Napoleon Dynamite, or you really like some Sorry I Killed You that came out earlier this year, other movies like that, this is entertaining. Like,
absolutely,
it's funny.
agree. Yeah,
it's funny and it's clever and it's really well written, and it also reminds me of It Cuts Deep.
Yeah, actually,
right, which came out last year. That's now available on Shudder. So it'll be interesting if Shudder ever picks this up one day. I guess it can't once it's been on Prime, but I don't know. Maybe it can. I don't know how distribution works, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll say I'm glad that he recommended this one to both of us, because this is definitely a high one on my list. I really, really dug the hell out of this. And
I
once
agree,
again,
100%.
You said year of the indie films and horror comedies, and holy crap.
Yeah, I will say that till I'm blue in the face. This is the year of indie films. If you are not watching indie films, you are missing out.
Yeah.
I say that with a lot of authority, and I mean it with a lot of authority. There is very good indie films out there, and there's some great horror comedies. And if horror comedy isn't your thing and you don't like horror comedy, that's fine. Like, no disrespect, but there is some really great movies. Because out of theatrical movies I've watched, none of them have really like hit home for me. I think the only one that's even in my top 10, well, technically Slack, that came out in theaters last year, and Spiral.
Yeah, I would say Spiral is the only one that's in my top list right now.
Like, the rest of them, I don't like. And yet again, it's not to shit on movies like Saint Maud. I understand a lot of people like Saint Maud. It just wasn't my jam. Or Unholy, which was just not a lot of people like that one. It was fucking horrible.
I missed that one. So
yeah, there's a reason. So yeah, you recommend a rental for Super Hot too, Scotty?
Oh, absolutely.
Awesome. So I guess we'll move to the next one, which is Howard's Mill. So our good friend Brandon Orlick from Exploding Heads, who apparently we're both in love with because he's come up like so many times on this show. We said his name 5 times yet. Is he going to appear and tell us that he's tired?
Brandon Orlick. Oh, he just appeared to be napping.
He just appeared and he's napping. He's like, why the fuck are you two talking? So Howard's Mill is a found footage film, and it basically takes place that there's this mill that area that people keep disappearing at. It's a faux documentary. Brandon liked it a lot more than I did. I would not say it's bad. I would say it's very good. People have put it on the same level as Lake Mongo. I have a pretty high bar for Lake Mongo. I think it's pretty hard to come close to Lake Mongo, but did I think this was an excellent film? Absolutely, I did. It's a free watch on Tubi, so you can't go wrong. You just have to sit through some commercials. If you like found footage, this is definitely a film that you may enjoy. And you can decide for yourself if it's as good as Lake Mongo. But if you don't like, mockumentaries and you don't like Lake Mongo, then don't watch this film, even if it's free on Tubi. But if you like those kind of things, then I definitely recommend it as a Tubi watch.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely will have to check this one out because I completely forgot this one had been brought up by you two, and I forgot that you weren't nearly as high on it as him, so I'm kind of curious to see where I'd land on it.
Yeah, it's a good film though. Just because he liked it more, I wouldn't say it's a bad movie. It's an entertaining film. It's just I don't know, it just connected with him more. So
right.
The next one is Behind the Sightings, which is about, do you remember when there was everyone dressing up like a clown several years ago? So it basically kind of builds on that, and all these people dress up like clowns. And it has a couple that takes it too far. And it's kind of like Blair Witch Project meets Grave Encounters, found footage wise. Also a Tubi watch. It's not bad. It's entertaining. It's interesting. I was really into a little bit of a found footage thing. I think this is just before you went away. I started like binging on found footage for some reason. But yeah, it was not bad. So, I'm sorry, it's not a Tubi watch. It's available on iTunes, Google Play, Vudu, and YouTube. So I would say a $2.99 rental at the most. But you got to dig found footage. You got to like things like the Blair Witch Project, mixed with Grave Encounters, mixed with the house that October built. But maybe not the first one, like the second one.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right. So, and the next one, I think you've seen.
Yes, I have. Okay. So this is a Netflix exclusive called A Classic Horror Story. And it's pretty much it is an Italian horror film. A bunch of people go in an RV and they are just going on a road trip. And then something happens and they are pretty much in the middle of nowhere and basically being hunted. Mm-hmm. There's more to it than that, but I'm not going to give it away here. You need to watch it to see what I mean. But I would say if you are a fan of Suspiria and what was the other one?
Midsommar,
then I would say give this a watch because you could it wears its influences on its sleeves and it's not shy about it.
No, it's like we're inspired by these movies. Did you not know that? Because we are. I forgot to give the runtime for the other two found footage. The runtimes for those are an hour and a half each. This one is 95 minutes, so we're also looking at just over an hour and a half. I agree with Scott's assessment of it. I think this movie is going to be very popular in the horror community. I think it's okay. Like, don't get me wrong. I think it's some great gore. I think there's some good kills in it. I think the characters you do get behind. There's one in particular that you do get behind. But I did find for me, I would probably put it in an average rating. I think maybe a good 6.5 to 7 out of 10.
Okay. See, I'm more of an 8 because I really did like it. The ending just made it not top tier.
Oh, see, that's funny because I really like the ending.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's interesting. So that tells you right there, two very different opinions. I thought that it was something different. I kind of feel the same way about the slasher flick that came out from Poland last year. Even though they used a lot of inspirations at the camps and stuff, I thought it was still really entertaining. And I still think this one's really entertaining too. It's obviously using a lot of inspirations and just being less shy about it. But yeah, it's worth it. For a free watch on Netflix, I don't think you can really go wrong.
Right, exactly. I say it's very well filmed. It's definitely got money behind it. And it's definitely been heavily inspired. So if you're a fan of any type of Italian cinema, give this a watch.
I agree 100%. All right, next one. Have you seen this one?
Nope.
Another Netflix film, Blood Red Sky. This film is actually getting a lot of likes from people that we know in the community, and this is a long one, 121 minutes long.
This is why I have not watched it yet, because I was like, that's a long runtime.
Yeah, it is a long runtime. Basically, it's about a hijacking on a plane, and there is something on the plane that the hijackers are not aware of, and it's supernatural. So you would probably like it. It is interesting. Maybe this is another one for when Liz comes to visit. You guys could watch this together. Fast paced, very emotional. You can watch it with subtitles. I believe it's in German, is its original language, or you can watch it, dubbed if that's what you prefer. Well made film, very interesting film, very good take on the supernatural element, awesome effects. Really good effects, actually. A lot of money was put into this film. And for a free watch on Netflix, I don't think you can go wrong. So I would say to anyone, if you enjoy a mix between action and horror, you're going to be very pleased with this film.
Nice. Yeah, I am looking forward to checking this one out. Just haven't had the time yet.
This one's fun, like that other one about the zombies that came out earlier this year in Las Vegas.
Oh, okay.
But this one takes itself more seriously. But Snack Cider was the director. I can't remember what it was now. Sea Nation?
Oh, Army of the Dead.
Army of the Dead. I thought that was a lot of fun, and I think this one's a lot of fun. But Blood Red Sky definitely takes itself more seriously. But I would say the same level of money of what you're getting for a Netflix film. Like, it's a high quality, well-made Netflix film.
Nice.
And then there's Aftermath, which we'll get into shortly. I don't think you've had the pleasure, have you, Scotty?
Nope.
I was warned not to watch this movie, but I put it on for some brain candy, and let me tell you, I have never seen Sean Astin Moore take off his shirt for no reason more than in this film. Every time he went to make out with his wife, he took off his shirt every single time.
My man.
He was just, and don't get me wrong, Sean Astin Moore is a good looking man. He looks great, but it was just ridiculous how often he took off his shirt. This movie is a whopping 114 minutes long. Unlike the other film that I got why it was 121 minutes long, I did not get why they made this 114 minutes. They could have made this 65 minutes and it probably would have been just as effective. But this is what saved this movie. And I see people have given it 2.5 stars. It's because Ashley Greene and Sean Astin Moore have the funniest fucking dialogue I think I've ever seen between a married couple. Like, this movie had no business as being entertaining as it was, and I give all the credit to those two actors. They delivered these lines as a married couple, like they would burn each other, and it was funny how they would react. Like, this was a Lifetime movie with two actors that were better than Lifetime movies.
Nice.
You know what I mean? And it's like they knew it was a Lifetime movie, and they were like, this is fucking dumb, but hey, we're getting a fucking paycheck. Let's run with it, right? Like, honestly, if you watch it for any other reason than for their, ridiculous acting, like perhaps let's say you were doing something else, like cleaning, eating, making out, this would be a great movie to have.
Perfect.
Because you can go in and out of this movie and not really fucking miss anything. Like, it's a paint by number fucking film. But I will definitely give the credit to Sean Ashmore and Ashley Greene because they carried this shitty film. If it wasn't for the two of them, I wouldn't even say to you, watch it while you're making out. But it's easy, it's digestible, but not a lot of money put into this one. Like, this one looks like it was filmed with a shoestring budget.
Oh boy.
And a Lifetime-y feel. But because of these two, it doesn't feel like that bad of a Lifetime movie, honestly.
Huh.
Like, honestly, I don't know how these two agreed to do this film. And I think they must actually like each other as people because they were having a fucking blast in this movie. Like, it was really, really well done. And there's a really sweet puppy in it. That's a very well-trained dog that does some pretty good dog tricks.
Nice.
But yeah, not the opposite of the funding that went into Blood Red Sky. Like, yeah, not even, I was like, is this a Hallmark movie? But not as bad. Like, that's really what it felt like. So anyway, that's Aftermath on Netflix. So if this sounds like something that would be good for you, I don't know, you're looking at making out during a movie and you don't really want to watch the movie, but when you tune into it, you want to be entertained enough, Aftermath's your film. So check it out for free on Netflix. And then the last one is Horror in the High Desert. I almost thought I said in High Dessert. Can you imagine?
High Dessert.
Higher dessert. It's like stocked cheesecakes on top of each other, or a chocolate fountain. And then
or like the gold dust on your ice cream.
Right? Oh man, that sounds fucking delicious. So I guess I'll talk about this one because I don't think you saw it.
Nope.
See?
Never even heard of this one.
Well, this one's also a found footage film that Brandon Orlick recommended to me. See, there we go saying his name again. Now we're just cursed for life.
Oh God, he's gonna show up on the show and it's just gonna, oh God.
I know, right? You know what's actually gonna happen? He's gonna show up and then tell us that there's too many pumpkins in Halloween Kills. Actually, that's a spoiler, Dave. There's too many pumpkins in Halloween Kills. They took the pumpkin
and Gizmo's in it apparently,
and they fucking doubled it. So, and can you imagine?
And Gizmo's in it.
And Halloween Kills is just lines of pumpkins down the street. That'd be really funny. Anyway, back to horror in the high desert. This is an 80-minute runtime, which is a perfect runtime for this found footage film. This found footage film has made it up my list to, where do I have it? Number 31 out of 137. It is a very, very good found footage film. It is about a young man who goes missing in North Nevada, and it follows his journey to how he went missing. It's a mockumentary as well. If someone said to me, this is up there with Lake Mungo, I would be absolutely it is. I would actually put the last scene as scarier than Lake Mondigo. There is an ending scene of this that is very scary. And this is an example of how when you don't have a lot of money and you do found footage, you can do something really well and just be creepy without special effects.
Nice.
So if this sounds like something that is up your alley, it is a free watch on Tubi. It is also available for rent. I would say watch it on Tubi. If for some reason you're averse to commercials, you can rent it on YouTube. I think $3.99, $5.99 if you like found footage and if you enjoy stuff like Lake Mungo. This is very good. Movie is Horror in the High Desert, not Desert. That's going to be the movie that Scott and I are going to refer to it as. Like, what did we say? Eden Lake?
Yeah.
Lake Eden?
What do we call it? Lake Eden. Lake Eden.
Lake Eden. The new film, Lake Eden. It's like the Target version of Eden Lake. So that covers our 2021 releases. We'll be back more in a couple of weeks with more 2021 movies. So a little bit less, I think, this time. This was just after 4 weeks of not seeing each other and podcasting, so we had a lot to talk about. Yep. But I think mostly hits more than misses.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it.
Something for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, right? we cover a lot of the subgenres in this. That's what I love.
We do. We just love us. Let's be real.
I love me.
I just missed us, Scott.
I missed us so much.
You know, we're nicer. I'm nicer to you right now because I missed you so much.
I know. I was gonna say, like, you haven't like picked on me, and I'm kind of scared.
No, you know why? Because Gary thinks I'm a big bully. We did a show with Gary Hill for It's Not Horror, okay? And Gary was like, Heather crushes Scott. So I won't go into detail because anyway, he basically indicated that I demasculate Scott, which I guess I probably do, but that's toxic masculinity talking. I just tease Scott. He knows that I think he's the bomb diggity.
Exactly.
Right. And if anyone hurts Scott, I'd fucking cut their throat out.
Yes, you would.
I'm just kidding. Not really. So older films. I have one here, but did you have one you want to talk about?
Nope. I looked on my list and nope, I haven't watched any older films yet in a long time, apparently.
Wow. You're just too busy playing. You know why? You're playing video games all the time too now.
Yeah, like I said, got back into a video game, so it's been sucking a lot of my life away again.
That's okay. Well, did you see this found footage film I'm going to be referring to?
Yes, I don't remember much. All I remember is where it takes place.
Okay, so the movie I'm referring to is As Above, As Below. It's a 2014 found footage film. Basically, this woman is looking for her father who disappeared out of the catacombs of Paris. And basically, you go in there and you get disoriented, and it's a found footage film, and it actually has a different ending than what I was prepared for. I'll be honest, I was kind of shocked at the ending, but it's a very well done movie. It's a 93-minute runtime. 2014 is when it came out. I didn't even know about this. It's only because a good friend has uploaded all his own found footage films to Plex, which is the only reason why I saw it.
Oh, nice. Yeah, because this one I remember really enjoying, finding it creepy, and just the whole setting of the catacombs in Paris is such a great setting for horror. And also one of my what do you call that? Bucket list travel places I want to go to.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I would love to go to Paris and go to the catacombs.
Oh, what if this happened while you were down there?
Well, it'd be a great touristy experience to bring home and tell everybody about.
Oh, I went down to Paris, and you know what happened? A ghost came and got me.
I got spooked like crazy. You wouldn't believe it.
Well, it's better than you talking about your cannibal experience out in the UP, huh?
That's true.
And then I went up there with people, and you didn't do any. Speaking of the UP, you didn't do a found footage film like we thought you were going to do this year.
No, I didn't go exploring any abandoned cabins or mines like I really wanted to. But you know what? Those buildings and mines will always be around. There will be time for me to explore those.
Well, the found footage would have been you fucking drinking and smoking and listening to music.
Right. And they'd be like, wow, this is really boring.
And you swimming, going to the sauna. That's your found footage film. That'd be great. We should do a found footage film when you come. I'm so bad. There's a Target near me. We should walk around it. Like it's now a different kind of store. And we should be like, here we are checking out the ghost of the Forgiven in Target and like shake hangers and shit. Oh my God, it'd be great.
Oh, do you feel that cool spot? It's here. It's here. Ghost, if you can hear me, give me a sign. He shook one of the cereal boxes.
I know it. They're here. Anyway, as above, as below. Excellent found footage film. Very well acted. It has a 3.1 rating on Letterboxd. Everyone who's watched it has given it 4 stars, 3.5 stars. So obviously it's popular. It's available for rent on Amazon, iTunes, Google, YouTube, and Cineplex. If you haven't had a chance to check it out yet, please do. It's worth your time.
Hell yeah.
All right, what we've been listening to. Scotty, you go ahead. Since you had no film to share, why don't you talk about what you've been listening to first?
All right. So I, just like the last episode that we recorded, I'm still on an audiobook kick. And, well, just like Brandon, this person's getting brought up a lot today too. Liz and I have talked, and she actually started reading Stephen King's books in chronological order. And I was like, you know what? I have every Stephen King novel on audiobook format. I'm going to follow along with you because there's a lot of these books I've never actually read.
Uh-huh.
And then we can be dorky and have a book club afterwards to talk about the differences.
That's what
I ended up.
I'll just talk to Liz about that.
Yeah, you do that.
Let's call her right now.
All right.
And ask her.
But yep, so I ended up reading for the first time, or I guess listening to for the first time, Stephen King's Carrie, which is his very first novel. And definitely some differences from the movie, obviously. I like the way this book is structured because it actually tells the story, takes breaks, and then has like scientific research papers that it's reading through about telekinesis. And then it goes to like interviews with people that survived what happened at the prom and hearing their side of the story, and then going back to the story. And it just kind of goes back and forth like that. And the way it's put together, it's very, very fascinating. I almost kind of want to like see like a mockumentary version like of Carrie, like after the events and the people that are still alive. And
that's cool.
That'd be like, I could kind of picture it being like that. That'd be really neat.
That would be that's a cool idea, Scott.
Yeah, I think that'd just be kind of fun. But yeah, I really dug the hell out of it. This audiobook was actually narrated by Sissy Spacek.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, which was really awesome. And she did an amazing job. Super short read. I think it was like 6.5, 7 hours for an audiobook. So it's like, I think 300 pages, 400 pages max in a book. But yeah, I really dug the hell out of this audiobook, and I have started the next one, which I will talk about on the next episode.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad that you have someone like a friend to share this information with. I like friends. I have lots of friends. Maybe Liz and I can be a friend, and we can read Stephen King books together too. Though he does have this. Have you guys read Funland or listened to the audiobook for that? It was never made into a movie, but I kind of want you guys to read it and listen to it because I think it would be an awesome movie. It's one of his more recent novels.
Okay, because what our plan is just to kind of go chronologically through every one of his books.
Wow, that sounds like a big commitment.
Yeah, and like I say, I already have a shit ton of his audiobooks just from back when I worked third shift, and I just never listened to them because I had to use up credits. So I said, screw it, I'm buying all Stephen King's books just to have them on my collection. So it gives me an excuse to finally listen to them all.
Oh, I was wrong. Joyland, not Funland. Joyland is the Stephen King book that I'm thinking of that I want you guys to read.
Okay.
As your friendship grows, maybe that's something you can read up to because this book is 2013. So you guys What a way to go.
Yeah, I'll say I'm hoping we get to Under the Dome, which I think is like 2015, 2016.
When was Cujo written?
That's got to be mid 80s, I would think.
It'd be I really look forward to hearing your guys' thoughts on Cujo. Maybe we should have her on the show when you guys do that. It'd be interesting if we just did an audiobook review, or we actually did a book review sometime. We had her on, like she reads Cujo, you listen, I listen or read it, and then we talk about how it was different from the movie and how they could, because we know I don't like the movie, right? But I'd be interested to hear what other people's perspective on it is on it, and also the books. I think it's going to give you a much better understanding of Stephen King films.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because I know coming up soon will be The Stand, The Shining, and I've read The Stand before, and yeah, that's an epic freaking book. Then yeah, Stephen King's It, and yeah, all the big ones are going to be coming up in like the early 80s. The one I'm looking forward to though is reading the book of Christine, just because you know how much that movie.
I know it means a lot to you. Yeah, it's a very emotional movie for you.
Yeah.
Good movie though. Fucking
absolutely.
And I wonder how close it is to the book. Yeah, it will be really interesting to hear your perspectives. Well, you know what? Even what we're listening to, you should probably do a quick comparison, just like you did with the Carrie. Like, I think that would be really cool if you've seen the Stephen King films, because I think you've seen almost all Stephen King films, haven't you?
Yeah, majority of them.
Right. So it would be cool to hear you just give a little synopsis of like what you thought was good that was different, or what you thought was, what they could have included and stuff. Because it's hard to include a book obviously into a film, but
right, there's a lot to cover, and I think especially with Carrie, how that played out, like in the book. I think back then it would have been hard for them to structure it and keep people's attention. But like, I think now it could be done in like a faux documentary style.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm glad you're doing that. That's awesome. To do that with a friend like Liz.
It gives me a lot of fun things to do, and gets me caught up on my King knowledge.
It also gets you to hang out with Liz, which is also cool, because I would like to hang out with Liz, but I live in Canada. I can't hang out with Liz.
You can't hang out with none of us Americans.
I can't hang out with any Americans unless it's virtual. Well, that's not true. I could fly in. I could fly to Chicago and see Liz. I'll meet you there.
Deal.
Right? Deal. So I've been listening to Medical Mysteries. So yeah, this is actually really interesting. Even though it's by the Podcast Network, it's a little more serious. And honestly, so the first episode I listened to, it talked about this random disease that happened around the same time that polio did. And people would just become like zombie state. So they would be normally functioning and they would get overly tired. They would want to sleep all the time. And then eventually they just came to the point where they were comatose and they could barely do anything on their own accord. So then they started kind of taking in different, like certain doctors started to experiment with different medicines, and they found out that there was a protein that was missing. And they started adding this protein back into people, and some of them recovered, but some of them recovered to the point, and then they would remember they were comatose for the past 2 years, and they wanted to go back to being comatose because it was too hard to have emotions again.
Oh, wow.
Like, it's super fascinating. So that's just one of the examples. There's also, let's see here. There was another one that was really, really good. Medical Mysteries. Oh, I can't see it. One's about like the dancing curse and stuff like that occurred in the dancing plague.
Oh yeah, I heard about
where
that.
people couldn't stop dancing. So it's a really cute, not really cute. I would say it's actually a really educational podcast, and you really do learn about these medical things that have occurred over time and how they've tried to kind of establish why these things have occurred. It's short episodes. The episodes are about 45 minutes in length, so you're not looking at a long time. Like, let's see here. So this is one. So in the 18th century England, Mary Toft defied all medical odds when she started giving birth to rabbits.
What the?
Right? Like, that's fucking crazy, but it happened. It's a historically well-researched podcast. So definitely something if you're interested in. It's only offered on Spotify now. So you just go into the search bar. I'm going to sound like podcast when they advertise, but you just enter in Medical Mysteries, and it's totally worth it. If you're interested in science and medicine and how we've got to the point where we are today and why vaccines are so important, cough, cough, then you can learn that through Medical Mysteries. It's actually a really, really good podcast. Not as interesting as what you talked about, but I really enjoyed it.
Actually, I find that quite fascinating. Actually.
Oh, yeah?
It'd be something I would like to listen to for sure.
Do you think Liz would like to listen to it?
Actually, I think she probably would, because she is into a lot of
Well, she's
medical
a
shows
nurse,
and stuff.
right?
Yeah.
Right. We're talking about Liz a lot. So maybe that's something Liz and I could do together.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. How do you feel about that, Scott? Maybe Liz will be my new
Go
best
for
friend.
it. Go for it. I'll see if I care.
Fine, Heather, take all my friends. I don't give a shit. It's fine.
Yeah.
Fighting over Liz. No one wants Brandon, though. We're both like, nah, Brandon.
Yeah, you can have him. You can have him.
We're like tossing him back and forth like a hot potato.
He doesn't know what's going on. He's napping the whole time. He just gets tossed back and forth.
Napping the entire time, and that fluffy hair of his would keep him cushioned as he fell. So we will be back. We will take a brief break and hear from our one of our many Legion podcast friends. So if you are not subscribing to the Legion Network, please head on over to the website and hit subscribe on any of your podcast listening tool of choice. We appreciate the support. And after these messages, we'll be right back.
Cha-cha.
Hello?
Hello, who is this?
Who are you trying to reach?
I don't know.
Oh, I think you've got the wrong number.
Do I?
I'm gonna hang up.
Wait, don't hang up. What's that noise?
Popcorn?
You're making popcorn?
Uh-huh.
I only eat popcorn when I listen to podcasts.
I'm about to listen to a podcast.
Oh, really? Which one?
Probably the podcast on Haunted Hill.
Is that the one with the two guys with the beards?
Yeah, Dan and Gav.
Dan and Gav. Yeah, that podcast was scary. I liked it.
Most episodes, they look at 2 different horror movies. Each episode, they look at a world of the strange, where they look at weird things from around the world. Sometimes they even do special episodes where they look at different genres or directors' discographies and talk about them.
Do you have a boyfriend?
Maybe.
So where can I find the podcast on Haunted Hill?
Or you could go to legionpodcast.com, Facebook, Twitter, or just go into iTunes and search for the podcast on Haunted Hill. So, are you gonna ask me out?
And welcome back. So this week we are talking about children's horror stories, and we're not talking about your children and what horror stories they cause for you. We're actually talking about children horror stories. So the first film that we're going to be talking about is Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, but we would not have Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark if we did not have the book series. Now, Scott, did you ever own any of the Scary Stories to Tell in the Bark?
Bark. It's the dog version.
It's the dog version. Scary Stories to Bark. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Did you ever have any of the books?
Oh yeah, I remember, like, I had them when I was in elementary school, and I remember always reading them whenever the bus picked me up. So riding the school bus to school and back.
Nice.
That's where I would always read them. And
Did you have a favorite?
One of my favorites is the spider bite. I forget what the actual story name is called, but like the spider bite where she's taking a shower and the spider comes out of her face.
Right.
And then also I think it was called The Viper, and it was about, like, it was just like this scary story, but it ends up being just this window wiper, and he's like, I've come to wipe your windows or something like that.
Yes, The Viper. It was in the first one that was released in 1981.
Yep, like those are the two I remember like very clearly. The other ones I would have to kind of get refreshers on what they were.
Well, I agree. I remember, now mind you, 1981, you and I, well, I wasn't even born yet. You were just a
born.
baby. So Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark is a series of 3 collections of short stories for children, short horror stories for children, written by Alvin Schwartz and originally illustrated by Stephen Gamley. In 2011, HarperCollins published editions featuring new art, stirring some controversy among fans. So sequencing printings have restored the original art, and the title of the books are Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, 1981, More Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, 1984, and Scary Stories 3, More Tales to Chill Your Bones. These 3 books each feature a number of short stories in the horror genre. They were definitely derived from folklore and urban legends as topics of his stories, and researched extensively, spending more than a year on writing each book, which is probably why the books were so good and the stories were so creepy, right? Acknowledged influences include Shakespeare, T.S. Eliot, Mark Twain, Joe Chandler Harris, Bennett Cerf, and Jan Harold Burr. Thank you. The first volume was published in 1981, and the books have subsequently
Subsequently,
thank you, been collected in both a box set and a single volume. I can remember when I used to go to something called the Scholastic Book Fair here.
yes,
You have that too?
yep.
And you would like take your, if you had money, you would take your money to the book fair and you would see these books. And I remember the artwork would always pull me in. Even though I was kind of a scared kid, I did read these books and I did find the stories, like you just kept reading and reading and reading. There's an audio version, by the way, of the books. So maybe one day you and Liz can do that. Listen to the audio version of fucking Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Well, I will definitely be snagging those up because I do love audiobooks, and George S. Irving, that name sounds very familiar. So I will have to look into those.
Absolutely. And so as of 2017, the books have collectively sold more than 7 million copies and appeared on numerous children's bestsellers list. They have collectively been held as a cultural touchstone for a generation. Couldn't agree more. With the original charcoal and ink artwork often singled out for its praise. They have also been frequently subject to criticism from parents and social groups who consider them inappropriate for children. They're scary. I don't think that that's a unfair statement, but know your kid.
Yeah, that's kind of like my mom. She looked at those and goes, well, you know what's real, what's not real. And plus, at that point I was a huge horror movie nerd at the beginning of my life. So it just worked for me.
Right. And I think that these stories are just stories. There's way scarier things that people hear about on the news or that happen in their life every day than the big toe. We all know that you're not actually going to find a big toe in a garden, eat it, and someone's going to come back for it. Like, that's not actually a thing. So,
right.
But it creates for a really, really great short story. The first book had the most stories at 29 stories. The third book had 28 stories. And finally, the third and final book had 25. And that's a shame. I remember these stories actually really well. I feel like we should read one day on Friday Nightmares, do like a little Friday Nightmare short. And it's just us reading these stories.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, they're fun stories. Well, now that we've talked about the books, we have to talk about the movie. So
yes, we do.
I'll let you bring us in with the movie.
All right. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark was released August 7th, 2019, directed by, I believe the name is Andre Overdahl, which is also directed Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Oh, interesting.
Yep, and Troll Hunter, I believe, was the other one he did.
Oh, cool.
So I was, for one, when I seen his name attached, I was already excited just from seeing the name of this movie because I knew what it was going to be. Seeing his name attached had me even more excited, but we'll get into that later. But the synopsis is when a trio of bullies chase Tommy and his friends, and the three end up hiding in Raymond's car. They then ask Raymond if he wishes to join them in exploring a haunted house nearby.
It's such a shitty explanation for what this awesome movie is. But just to give the background here, this movie was filmed in St. Thomas, Ontario, Canada. It started filming on August 27th, 2018, and ended on November 1st, 2018.
Oh, nice.
So it ended the day after Halloween, which is interesting because this whole film is set around Halloween.
Yeah, and I love the time period that they set this in too, which is very unique.
1968. Yeah. What I really love about this film is, so when they announced, we're going to do Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, and they did the teaser trailer, I was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I was very excited, but I was like, how are they going to do this? There's a whole bunch. Are they going to do like an anthology and someone's reading from the book and showing the different stories? And they kind of did do an anthology. And this is how you would adapt a children's story or a book fucking amazingly. I have nothing but praise for this film. I have a hard time finding a fault with this film, and I don't care if that sounds biased. It is entertaining. It is well acted. The stories that are told in it, you get some of the big hit stories from the book.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I got nothing but praise for this movie. And the way that it pulled the big toe story, the way that it had the pimple story, the scarecrow,
the pale woman,
and the artwork and the design of the pale woman,
they literally brought the artwork to life in this movie. And that was one of the things I was worried about is, okay, they're doing this movie. They are doing a movie based off a book that has illustrations for the characters and the things that happen. How are they going to pull this off? Because these characters are cemented in our minds from when we were kids. Are they going to actually be able to pull this off? And holy shit, if they did not freaking pull this off.
Like amazing.
Yeah, like the design of every one of these were just unnerving, like unnervingly like spot on. It's incredible how like they did this. And yeah, like you said, like when I seen the trailer, I'm going, okay, this is going to be an anthology. And like you said, it's kind of is, but no, it's a full story that just kind of brings these stories into it in such a unique way. And they do it with such care, which is amazing. Like, I'm with you. I don't find a flaw in this film.
Even the filming of the film it set up that whole artwork piece. The film has this dark tinge to it.
Yeah.
Right. It's like you're watching a ghost story the entire time. And the fact that it's set in 1968, so you get that kind of old time feeling to it. It's around the time of the Vietnam War, so there's the draft dodging. Stella is writing stories, and they meet up. Like, it's funny because when they run to that drive-in, they're watching, I think it's Night of the Living Dead, isn't it?
Because that came out in 1968. So yeah, that was big at the drive-in at that time.
And when that Tommy kid goes back to his house and Harold gets revenge on him, like it's creepy and it's scary. And when Augie gets taken by the big toe monster, it is incredible. Like, the whole setup, not just the characters represented the artwork from that film, the whole filming of the film did.
Yeah.
And the acting of these young people is fucking incredible. They're all likable. You don't want anything bad to happen to any of them, except for Tommy. He's a dick. But everyone else.
Right. Yeah, like they did an amazing job with this. Like, this is how, like you said, this is how you do a children's horror book. They even did it where, you could bring our generation, because, our generation grew up on this film.
Yeah.
And they made it PG-13, so our generation could bring our children to go see this. Yeah. And they did it without it being like over the top gory. There might have been a few slang words used and maybe a few swear words, but like all in all, like this felt like, a teenager, young teen style horror film done well, where not only will kids like it if they're into these types of movies, but people like us who grew up on them are going to love the hell out of it as well. Like, they towed that line and they did it amazingly somehow.
I couldn't agree with you more. I'm just looking up to see what the rating of it was. I think it was PG.
Oh, PG? Really?
I'm looking to see if I can find it, or maybe if it was. What are your ratings in the States? Is it AA, which is 14 plus?
No, it's G, PG, PG-13, then R.
So I think this was PG-13.
Yeah.
And this is yet again, for all those horror fans out there that shit on PG-13 horror movies, is an example of a phenomenally well done, creepy PG-13 movie. When Augie gets taken under that fucking bed, you don't know that's going to happen. They build up that suspense without any blood or gore.
Yeah.
Like I'm getting really up on a soapbox here, so I apologize, Scott. But on like The Conjuring, when like it's like that, like it's that jump scare all the time.
Yeah.
This is jump scares used fucking well.
Yeah.
Like that's what a good jump scare is.
Yeah, like they didn't rely on it to scare you. They built up to it. They creeped you out ahead of time.
Right? And it's not every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Right? It was in not every scene either. It happened with Augie. It happened kind of with Harold's scene. And even with the toe one, what was that?
Yeah, I forget how I forget what that one said. I know people are listening to us going, it's this, but I can't remember it off the top of my head.
I think it was Me-to. I gotta look it up now. Me-to, which that wasn't a jump scare. So he's in the jail cell and they're waiting for it to come. And you have the buildup of hearing that it's coming. The Jangle Man.
Yeah.
Right? And not a jump scare.
No.
Right? And you get a jump scare at the end with Sarah's reaction.
Yep.
At the end, I got startled by that in the theaters. But the best jump scare is fucking Augie's. That is exactly how a jump scare should be in a film. And I just can't get over praising this movie. I can't. Like, even when they meet up in the drive-in and they're talking about, you know, what's happened, and it's just so well done. Incredibly well done.
I couldn't agree more. And this, watching it for the show, this was my second time watching it. Last time I seen it was in theater, so
Same
it was
with
nice to revisit it. And I'm kind of sad I left it off my top 10 list because I think you had it on your top 10.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it was just shy of my top 10, like number 12 or something like that. But rewatching, I'm going, yeah, this would have been in my top 10 for sure if I would have thought about it more.
Honestly, this is in my top 10 all-time favorite horror films.
Really?
That is how much I like this film.
Wow.
The ending scene where they eventually get out of the jailhouse. So how they even entwine the stories so it carried the plot along.
Yeah.
Like the whole Jangle Man piece is basically this, you know, the kid Ramon has been a draft dodger, and it's playing on their fears of what they're afraid of. They manage to get out of the jail cell. They go back to the house, and her, you know, Stella has to confront Sarah. And that whole buildup of when she goes back in time and it connects back to the older woman that not Augie, the other young man saw earlier. And then she has that standoff with Sarah. It's amazing. Like that dialogue that young lady delivers where she's like, no, I'm going to tell you a story. Right. And basically talks about how she's doing all these evil things. And it's because of, you know, she feels betrayed from her family. Like, it's such a powerful movie. It really is. And the way it's filmed, the way it's acted, the way they integrated these short stories, the way they kept the artwork from the original stories. Like, this movie's a 10 out of 10. I'm sure there's people out there that are like, oh, well, I didn't like it. And that's cool. Like, if it wasn't your jam, respect. Not here to tell people what they like or don't like. But objectively looking at this film on a second time watch after not seeing it for 2 years, I can't wait for a sequel. I was Googling, when is the fucking sequel coming? Like, I just cannot wait to see what they do next.
I know. I would love to see a sequel, and I would love to see what stories they integrate into this one. And yeah, like you said, they set it up perfectly for a sequel.
Perfect. And I can't get past the acting. I can't get past the acting of it either with these young kids and the delivery of the lines.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, like, this is gonna become a Halloween rotation for me now for like around the Halloween season for sure, because it has that Halloween feel to it and everything.
Absolutely, and you know, it's really hard to. We were just talking about Stephen King. It's really funny that you did that you brought that Carrie audiobook in, and we talked about the comparison and had a little Stephen King chat there for a couple minutes, because this is an example of where you take an anthology set of stories and you make it into a movie and bring it truly to life. Like, you really, everybody who worked on this film brought it to life, and they did a phenomenal job of it. And yet again, proving that PG-13 horror doesn't have to be bloody and gory. Now, if that's what you need in your horror to have a good time, no problems here. Trust me, I can recommend lots of bloody, gory films to you. So can Scotty. Right. But if you're looking for something that is just creepy and well developed and good ghost storytelling, which is, to be quite frank, hard to do in a lot of fucking North American films, this is hitting out of the park, hands down. So I'm glad you feel the same way. Yeah, this is definitely one of my favorite like newer book adaptations that has been done. And yeah, one that I didn't think was going to be easy to pull off. I remember seeing the preview, and I remember, as I said, I was like, oh man, I hope this is going to be good. And I went to the theater to watch it because I was like, you know what? I hope it's good. You know, I can't believe they're releasing this in August. I don't know why they do it in August. And they did, and that's fine. You know, you can't always release a movie in October, a horror movie in October. I get it. Then we would just have no horror movies all year round. You have 15 billion ones in October. So I understand that. But fuck, it was good. Yeah. I would go see it at the theater again. I would pay full pop to go watch it again at the theater. That's absolutely how much I enjoyed it. But yeah, so check it out if you haven't had a chance to. I guess we probably should have said something about spoilers because it was a 2019 film, but obviously you guys know we spoil movies, but I will give a warning for this upcoming one. We will be talking about the 3 Fear Street films after we do a little intro about R.L. Stine and the Fear Street novels. So if you have not watched the most recent Fear Street films, We understand if you want to skip over this part because we will be engaging in spoilers, much like you just saw with Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Scott and I spoil films. So for some reason, if this is your first time listening and you're mad that we spoiled Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark for you, you're going to be even madder when you listen to what we talk about Fear Street. So
right.
proceed with caution if you have not watched the Fear Street films yet. So what I'm going to do next is I can kind of get this back up over here. There we go. So what's your history with Fear Street, Scott?
Well, I was more the Goosebumps kid.
Okay.
I did read a couple of Fear Street books. The problem is I don't remember which ones they are because it was so long ago. I think they had to do with like the babysitters because wasn't there like a series based off babysitters?
There was a 4 series on one young woman and her babysitting and how she grows as a character. There was 4 books on it.
Yeah, I think I read 1 or 2 of those books and then 1 or 2 of another series of the Fear Street world.
Fair enough.
Like, so this is more your cup of.
This is
like more what you grew up with more than I did.
I definitely grew up with this. I didn't even read Goosebumps.
That's funny. Wow.
Book. Yeah. I skipped right over that and went to Fear Street. I didn't even know Goosebumps. By the time I found Goosebumps, I had already read Fear Street, and honestly, there was no going back from Fear Street to Goosebumps. That's not what
right.
You
No.
do, right. So Fear Street is a teenage horror fiction series written by American author R.L. Stine and started in 1989. His first book was called The New Girl. In 1995, a series of books inspired by Fear Street series called The Ghosts of Fear Street was created for younger readers and more like the Goosebump books in that they featured paranormal, monsters, aliens, etc., and sometimes had a twist ending. R.L. Stine stopped writing Fear Street after penning the Fear Street Senior spinoff in 1999. And in the summer 2005, he brought back Fear Street books with 3-part of Fear Street Nights miniseries. As of 2010, over 80 million copies of Fear Street have been sold.
Wow.
Yeah. So as we all know, in July, there was a trilogy of films based on the franchise was released. So Fear Street books take place in the fictional town of Shadyside, which we see in the film, and feature average teenagers older than a typical Goosebumps preteen. So typically in R.L. Stine books, the teenagers were anywhere between 16 and 19, sometimes 20, but usually 16 to 19, who encounter paranormal adversities. While some of the Fear Street novels have paranormal elements such as ghosts, and others are simply murder mysteries. Where Goosebumps had very few tame deaths, the deaths in Fear Street are often, particularly in the saga, and are far more gruesome with more blood and gore and violence. And they also dealt with mental illness, and they dealt with a lot of other things in the Fear Street series. The title of the series comes from the name of the fictional street in Shadyside, which is named after the Fear family. Their name was originally spelled F-I-E-R. After being told the family was cursed and the letters could be arranged to spell fire, Simon Fear changed it to Fear, F-E-A-R, in the 19th century. Despite the family renaming, the curse survived, and Simon and his wife Angelica bought it with them when they moved to Shadyside sometime after the Civil War. So this is going into the origins of Fear Street. So the curse continues with Benjamin and Matthew Fear sentencing an innocent girl and her mother Susanna and Martha Good to be burned at the stake for allegedly practicing witchcraft, which is where we see some plot here that's inspired. The husband and the father, William Good, put a curse on the Fears to avenge their death and bring misery and death to the family. Although a fire allegedly burned the last of the Fears, the series somehow surviving Fears and suggests that one of the brothers survived. These events are described in the Fear Street Saga, a spinoff of the main series. So the Fear Street Saga was very historical. The final film in the Netflix really is based off of that. So the Netflix series was a love letter to the Fear Street, multiple different series that existed. So as I said already, The New Girl was the first book that was published in 1989, and it was followed by many other films many other books based off of Fear Street. So typical teenage angst was very common in these films. Romantic relationships were very common in these films. There was a lot of references to what was hip and new at the time in these films. Are you noticing a trend here, Scotty?
I sure am.
There was always a twist in every single book, where you thought it was something, but it ended up being something else. And there was always, definitely your protagonist that some survived and some did not. I still remember one scene that described a cat being found in a pot of boiling spaghetti.
Oh,
This girl found her cat in a pot of boiling spaghetti, and her approaching up to the pot and realizing what was in it. So it was a pretty dark novel series. It did very well. It continues to do very well. So why don't we break into the films with that little bit of synopsis? Does this make a little bit more sense for the films for you, Scott?
oh, it definitely does. Like I knew a lot about the Fear Street stuff just because I had a lot of friends that read it and we talked about it back then. For me at the time, the reason I didn't read a lot of Fear Street is because I was reading about Horror High, which is something we'll be talking about.
Oh, Horror High. Yeah. I'm familiar with Horror High.
Yeah, I was reading more of those books back then.
Did you ever read Christopher Pike?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I always had a battle
Pike.
with one of my girlfriends about who was better, Christopher Pike or R.L. Stein. And I think honestly, they're both great writers. I think R.L. Stein just had more success because his books were shorter in length typically, and a little bit more palatable to read.
Yeah, because I think Christopher Pike also kind of hit more adult.
Yeah, he kind of did that later teen stuff. So I'll let you bring us in. And yet again, there will be spoilers for these three movies for Fear Street. So you have been warned.
All right. So the first movie is Fear Street Part 1, 1994, released July 2nd, 2021. After a series of brutal slayings, a teen and her friends take on an evil force that's plagued their notorious town for centuries. So this one definitely is an homage to everything 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's music, internet, video games, technology.
Wait, are you saying there were 90 songs in this film, Scott?
Yes, there were 90 90s songs in this movie. Like they what was it, like in the first 15 minutes, I think 7 or 8 90s songs were played. Like you're just like, oh my gosh, okay, you're hitting us on the head with it. I get it. But also they took the 90s theme and even went as far as like referencing and homaging 90s horror films like Scream.
Now it's funny that you say that because it is, but it's actually homaging the Fear Street books. Because and many a times R.L. Stein would open in his chapter with a murder like that or something sensational happening.
Right. Well,
and
I'm
then
just
it
saying,
would flash back into the story. So as much as it did, definitely people who didn't read the books excessively wouldn't know that.
Right. Well, the only reason I was comparing it to Scream is because literally the way it was filmed with the girl in the mall, the killer's right behind her and stabs her in the back, just like Drew Barrymore.
I agree. No, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that wasn't the main inspiration for that. I think the main inspiration was most of R.L. Stein's novels always started, not always, a lot of them would start off with like a cliffhanger. So she's running, as Karen ran through the woods, she could feel the breath off of her face. She realized the man was catching up and there was nothing that she could do. She was wearing her Nikes brand new Nikes that she just brought that week. Like it was seriously like that. She had her Discman that flew away with, the Cranberries playing. Like, I'm not kidding. That is exactly how fucking R.L. Stein wrote his shit. So like, they really did use the motivation, I definitely think, from the 90s, which would have made sense because The Killing was around the time the Scream came out in the 90s horror films. So this kid would have been inspired. But yeah, definitely there was some blatant homages, ripoffs to Scream, but that idea of the opening with like a killer, like a dramatic scene was definitely R.L. Stein style. And the overabundance of the 90s shit was something that also he would do in his books. Which is why, yet again, if you weren't a big fan of R.L. Stein, you'd be like, what the fuck's with this shit? Like, how much overdoing could you do it? But they were, for the people that were avid fans, you kind of were like, all right.
Yeah, that makes sense. This takes
me back to reading this novel now. It was like vomiting a pop culture at the time.
That makes sense, because when I'm watching this, I'm going, all right, so this is Stranger Things, but in the 90s. Like, remember the 90s? Remember the 90s?
Yeah.
Remember the 90s?
Yeah. And that was really what R.L. Steins would do. Now, obviously, this got turned up to supersize, and they used a lot of other horror movies for, you're not wrong in your statement. I'm not trying to say you are. I'm just giving another perspective of why they also did that was because of how his books were written.
And that makes sense.
Right. It's like the teenage angst piece of this that occurs within the main relationships. Like,
Oh, yeah.
so much teenage angst. Like this, we should have done these films for teenage angst. Remember we did teenage angst? Holy fuck, these films could have been a perfect
Oh,
teenage
absolutely.
angst film. But this was totally representing of the R.L. Stine stuff. But I did love the part where, I do like some nostalgia from the 90s, probably because we were actually teenagers in the 90s or preteens or whatever. And I did like the glow in the dark stuff, like the glow in the dark store, like that party favor store that one kid works for or she works for. And then she has to run around and try to survive in with the glow dark stars and shit like that.
Oh, yeah.
I
like because I think her friend worked at Spencer's, and so
that's what it was. Or
references, and she was working for B Dalton Books,
right,
which was a big popular mall bookstore.
Like I really did love the mall feel and like the food court, and that's kind of like where all the teenagers would go and hang out, and like it was the cool shit to do. Like I'm sure you remember going to we had HMV Music World, Sam the Record Man, but whatever, I don't know, music stores you had that were the big chains in the States.
Yeah, like Harmony House and FYE and things like that.
And you would go and you could listen to CDs. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
You could go and like try the CD before you bought it.
Oh,
and yeah, right. And did they sell tickets there to concerts? Like you could go there and buy tickets for concerts.
Yep. Hot Topic actually sold Ozfest tickets, so I bought tickets to Ozfest there before.
Nice. So like same thing, right? It was definitely made for our age group.
Yeah.
I feel like they went, all right, who was old enough to read R.L. Stine books and like, I don't know, has maybe some nostalgia for the 90s? People in their 30s? Excellent. Here you go.
Right.
But I did think, as I said, there was a lot of teenage angst, kind of the twist and the turn. They used the shady side piece of it, how shady side had all this bad luck and sunny side was, where all the good stuff was. And obviously in 1994, R.L. Stine was not writing about anything other than heterosexual relationships.
Right.
Maybe once in a while a character would be bi-curious, but it was never a focus in any of his books. So when they did that, I was like, this is very much for a relevant audience of today. There'd be a little bit more
though
sexual preferences. So
I wish they, like, just my personal preference, I wish they wouldn't have like tried to play it coy and be like, oh, my you see she's breaking up with Sam, and then it pans over and you see a football player kissing on a girl and she gets all mad and she walks away, so it's making you think, oh, it's her boyfriend Sam, and then it's a girl. It's like, yeah, that just seems kind of cliche with the whole like lesbian lover thing, like having a woman with the what do you call that, androgynous name?
Yes. So you're right, Scott. You're right. Yeah.
Like, I just felt that, like, that's just kind of overplayed, but I'm like, it's nothing I'm going to hate on. I'm just kind of just like,
I think you're 100% right. And I think that's a valid, like, they had to be like, oh, no, we got ya.
We fooled you.
It's really the girl, Like it was testing. Are you homophobic or not?
Right. I just kind of eye rolled. I'm like,
yeah, it was. I agree with you. It was a little cheese there. But I did like how their relationship progressed. I was listening to Horror for Dummies. By the way, Horror for Dummies is an awesome podcast. You can find them on the Padded Room Network, and it's Tim Davis and Daniel, and they're awesome.
They give me a Scott Crawford.
They certainly do every single time. So they did a review of Fear Street, and Tim mentioned how he felt uncomfortable watching one of the sexual scenes with the young ladies because they do look rather young. They are actually, by the way, they're in their 20s. They're all of age. But did you feel like, I didn't really think of it. I was like, oh yeah, they're just in their bra and panties.
Yeah,
like,
I didn't think anything of it either.
Right? Like I was like, okay, like I get it. You got it. Because in the Fear Street novels, he did talk about people making out. And usually it wouldn't go. And what was really interesting, a nice little razzle dazzle touch to this, rarely would they go all the way that he would indicate that they had sex.
Right.
So usually he would end it off in like they were making out in a car, blah, blah, blah. And then like kind of trail off to be like, oh, she pushed her hand up against the window as it steamed up. And then the new chapter would start of the next day at school. Cindy was thinking about last night with Max in the car. So it would always kind of like leave it so you kind of could explore what happened. And I kind of liked how he did that with both the kids in the bathroom. Yes. The young lady and the gentleman, the kid by himself.
Yes.
and the two young ladies, and came back as like, and he says something like, did everyone finish or something like that, or
Right, he was just like, did everyone what was the term we had? But yeah, basically he was in that, did everyone go all the way? He's like, I did too.
like
When he was by himself.
like that was total R.L. Stine fucking right. Like whoever made these films was an R.L. Stine fan. I will definitely give them credit, because that was, and yet again, a little tie-in to the books. And none of these movies were based off of any one books. I thought they were, and I was like, well, maybe I just didn't read that book because I don't remember this. And then I went back into it. I said, oh no, like what they're doing is they're just basically making a book into film.
Yeah,
and
they're kind of building the world.
They are, right? So there was some nice little things that they did tie in, that if you did read the Fear Street sagas or the Fear Street books, you got, the train of thought that they had. The kills in this and the grocery store, like I knew that they killed people in Fear Street books. I knew that would happen, but fuck was I shocked.
Yeah, they do not shy away from the gore in this. Like,
no,
I was, because I went in going, okay, it's probably going to be a cutaway, and you might see like a dead body with blood later or something like that. No, like they get pretty violent with some of the kills, and one of the kills in this with the bread slicer may make one of my best kills of the year. Because
that is the kill of the year to beat. That is a kill.
That is a messed up scene.
Yeah, the one I referred to earlier in another 2021, I think could be comparable. But that one and yet again, this reflects R.L. Stine Fear Street novels. Like, he would talk about graphic kills, and characters would die who you didn't really know whether someone was safe or not. Right. And I thought that was really well done. Like, I thought the filming of this was high quality. It is very highly 90s centric. It is very teenage angsty. It does remind you of a less good Stranger Things, but that's what R.L. Stine was.
Actually, I like this better than Stranger Things.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yep. I'll say I think it's just more because it's more horror.
Yeah, and to be honest, it's quicker. It doesn't drag out. Like Stranger Things kind of fucking drags it here.
Well, it's because they got a TV.
On and on, right?
It's because it's a TV series and Netflix wants you to binge every episode, and I don't like when series drag their stories out. Give me an hour and a half movie, boom. 2 hour movie, boom.
I agree. And you know what? That's why they were able to do these movies and get all that shit in that they needed to. And it wasn't dragged out, right? It was very much like a book. And then it leaves it on a cliffhanger, which R.L. Stine did frequently in his books, especially if there was a tie-in. Anything you want to add for 94 before we jump into 1978?
Just that, I may not have read a lot of the Fear Street books, but I still, if anybody is like on the fence about watching these because you haven't read any of the books, go into it just knowing it's going to be a fun movie based in the 90s, because this is a very fun 90s style horror film.
My name for all these films are bubblegum horror.
Yes.
Easy to digest, easy to watch. You're looking at about an hour and 47 minutes. It is a little bit longer than a regular film would be. But if you have Netflix, it's worth it. It's high quality money that gets put into this movie.
It's Netflix money.
Yeah, just know it's going to be very teenage angsty, and it's going to be very like 90s throwback, and it's bubblegum. It's bubblegum horror, and it's representative of the Fear Streets books. And this book particularly looked at the books that R.L. Stine wrote in present day. So he would do present day books. He would do books from the 70s or 60s, 50s, and then he would do books from the Fear Street saga. So I even like how he did that with all of the series of the 3 movies too. Or these people did that as well. They acknowledged each of the generations that he wrote a lot in, and connected them into the film. So let's get into Fear Street Part 2.
All right. So Fear Street Part 2, 1978, released July 9th, 2021. A summer of fun turns into a gruesome fight for survival as a killer terrorizes Camp Nightwing in the cursed town of Shadyside. Now, this one is definitely the movie that is an homage to 80s camp slasher films.
Absolutely.
Like, if you are a fan of Friday the 13th, Sleepaway Camp, The Burning, check this movie out, because this is like tons of nods and references, and like it's got like, and it just like in the 90s version, 1978, they have a lot of very popular 70s songs playing throughout it.
Carry on now, wayward son.
There'll be peace when you are gone.
Lay your weary head to rest.
Don't you cry no more.
Na-na-na.
But yeah, honestly, I think this is my favorite of the three.
Oh yeah, I think most people like this one the most, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because this says this definitely hits the whole 80s slasher vibe that Scotty loves.
Mm-hmm.
And I do absolutely love the soundtrack. Once again, they do jam a lot of popular music in like short succession. But I like the story of this one because it's kind of it ties into the 1994 one with where it starts off, and it's the two main girls, the main girl and her brother and her girlfriend Sam, who's right now possessed, and they are trying to figure out how to basically do an exorcism, get rid of what's causing her to be possessed. And they end up having to hear the story of the one lone survivor from the 70s. And then it kind of does this. Then this whole movie is basically one long flashback. And like the story, I like the whole idea of like where you find this like cave system underneath the camp where Sarah Fear was part of her body was buried, and where ritualistic summoning has been happening, and how you find out why certain shady siders end up going crazy and becoming killers. And I love the story and how they do this one. I was kind of curious, does this feel like a Fear Street book to you?
Absolutely. This is reflective of his 70s writing.
Okay.
And this continues on with what R.L. Stine would do with certain books that connected to each other, is that he would start off with one assumption in the first story, and then he would flush it out so it wasn't what you thought at all by the end. Now, for those of us who knew the story, I always knew what Sarah Fear's deal actually was. Sarah Fear is in the original books, but she is not the main character. As you can tell, Matthew and some other people are. But definitely there is a Sarah Fear. And I knew right away what the deal was. But I think for people who didn't know, this story does a very good job of building on it. And I'll be honest, I think the acting's better in this. We do have some actors from Stranger Things in this one that aren't in the first one or the second one. And I don't find this one as teenage angsty. I find it a little less annoying in that area.
No, I think that there's only like more teenage drama with like the bullying and the picking on each other, but not angsty.
No, the romantic relationship piece of it, like we have some established couples. We have like a gentleman that's interested in a young lady that he's like a counselor, and she's like at the last year of being a camper. So I'm assuming it's like 15 and 17.
Yeah.
We're going to go with that as 15 and 17.
Right.
Right. Which I think it would have been. Like I could see yet again, R.L. Stine would have a relationship like that of the senior camp counselor, the junior camp counselor liking the senior camper. But then when they go underneath and they find the tunnels and shit, that's very much R.L. Stine-y. Some of the kind of the jump scares, the creepy shit that happens with the nurse, all of that stuff is how he would write his book.
Okay.
The bullying that would be included into it, only killing the people that were from Shady Side, not Sunnyvale, would it definitely be it. Like you feel really bad for those kids who get basically massacred.
Oh yeah, because this one definitely, like, this is where like it kind of veers away from most typical 80s camp slashers, where it ends up being like older kids or camp counselors being ones getting killed. In this story, it's young teens getting killed. I mean, they don't show the kills on screen for them, but like they're brutally murdered.
Yeah.
Like you can hear the noises and stuff, what's going on, because it's basically an axe wielding killer. And like you hear the swings and everything. And I was shocked when they actually killed off like the one kid during the Color Wars thing that was going on. The guy that was like the prison guard. Yeah,
I wasn't surprised because yet again, R.L. Stine books, right? He would go there in the Fear Street saga. So it's interesting because slowly what he did was 1994 was very much like his, Fear Street movies that were based in the 90s or the 80s. This one was more reflective of stuff he wrote in the 70s, but was starting to dip into the saga, was starting to dip back to that history piece, which even though the third film, I think a lot of people don't like as much, and I'll be honest, I don't like it as much either, but it really represents the Fear Street saga, which was the origins of Fear Street, how the stories were told, how everything led up to be to what it was. But back to this one, I think the characters in this one are personally the best. I really like Cindy. I really like Sheila. I really like Tommy. I feel bad when Tommy turns. You feel bad for him when that happens. I think they did a really good job. I didn't like Nick's character. I feel like you cared about everybody.
Yeah.
Like you actually felt like you were at a camp and this was this wholesome experience. And these Shady Siders and Sunnyvale people were trying to get along. And then all this fucking chaos was happening. I felt it was a great movie. And I think this is probably a standalone in the series for people.
Yeah, and I liked because one thing we didn't really bring up in the 1994 version is the main girl's little brother is obsessed with all the different murders that have happened throughout Shady Side's history and talks about these massacres, and this is one of those massacres that happened. Where in the 1994 one, it's like a beginning of a massacre that gets kind of stopped. And in this one, it's playing out and it's the entire massacre, which is just like, I think there was 14 deaths or something like that. Like this guy just killed like so many people in just one night.
Yeah.
And like, it just kind of like puts it in focus. Like, okay, these are horrible events in Shady Side's history. Yeah. And I kind of like how they play that out.
I agree. I think what I like most about this film is at the end, after Nick gives Siggy CPR and saves her. And I didn't think Siggy was going to die. I didn't think it was going to be, I thought it was going to be I thought Siggy was going to die and Cindy was going to live. Right. But you realize later that wasn't the case. Yeah. And that starts to tie into the saga already. That twist of Nick intervening and preventing Siggy from dying is very much like a twist that R.L. Stine would do towards the end of his film. And they kind of put together about the witch theory, about the hand being removed, the fact that it's under the tree or the body's under the tree at the Shady Side Mall, or the hand's under the tree at the Shady Side Mall. And at the end, we see Dina, who with the blood has a vision where she's in 1666 as Sarah Fear. And it leads right back into this Fear Street saga. I thought that was clever. So what did you think, like, as leading from this end of this film into the third one?
I thought this was once again a good cliffhanger that leads into what we will find out is like the history behind this. Because they do a very good job of kind of giving you like flashbacks whenever one of the characters touches part of Sarah Fear. So I think this leads into 1666 in a pretty interesting way. Yeah,
for sure. I think you're right that this is very much a fun movie, much like the first one. It's easy to watch, easy to digest. Would you recommend this one over the first one?
Yes. I think this one, especially because if you're a fan of like the 80s slashers, this is like totally that style of film.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So I guess we'll finish off the third one because I agree. I think the second one is great. I think a lot of people will dig it. Probably more than the third, but that's okay. Let's talk about the third.
All right. So Fear Street Part 3, 1666. Released July 16th on 2021. In 1666, a colonial town is gripped by a witch hunt that has deadly consequences for centuries to come, while teenagers in 1994 try to put an end to their town's curse before it is too late. This one, I think you and I both have the complaint that reusing characters or reusing actors.
Yeah, I don't really know why they did that. Do you think it was a budget thing? Like, I don't know enough about filmmaking. Was it because they were trying to be like, it's familiar? I don't know.
I'm not sure why they did this. Like, I know it's not a budget thing because I mean it's Netflix. Netflix has plenty of money. True. So I'm not sure if it's maybe to kind of like make it. So I forget what the main character is from 1994, what her name is, but Dina. Like maybe trying to say like she's kind of like Sarah Fear in a way, like she was Sarah Fear in 1666, and there's like a correlation.
Oh yeah, I get what you're saying. That makes sense. Yeah. That's actually a really good connection. And then Sam, like obviously I don't know, like the lesbian love affair. I don't know, like that would definitely. Maybe could have happened in the Fear Street Saga books because it would have been shocking for the Fear Street Saga. But this definitely represented the whole concept of this colony town and the idea of the witch hunt and the witch trials, which was based around Fear Street. We did read about how people were burned at the stake. And the Fear Street, legend became from that. And I don't think this one is the strongest of the films. Like, I think that it is like the fact that they have like an individual who's Black and then an individual who's Asian. That would never happen. You would never have, it would all be white people living in this fucking village, right? So that was the only thing that I was kind of like, I don't get why you're reusing the actors, but I think your point to they were recreating the characters was good. And I think one of the creepiest scenes in this, which was very much Fear Street Saga, was the children having their eyes gouged out in the church.
By the preacher.
Yeah.
That was disturbing because I didn't expect that to be shown. Like, I didn't know what was going on. Like, I obviously, you've seen the preacher and his eyes are gouged out, and I'm going, okay, what the hell's going on here? And then you just see all the kids with theirs gouged out, and I'm going, oh damn. And these were young kids too. They
were all the kids in the village or whatever it was. And I think that Tommy guy was in it, and he played such a dick in this one. Like, he was like dirty and gross and like all about the sexual assault. Like, he was just a completely different character than he was in the 1978. He was still kind of a hero that kind of turned a little bit. But I did really appreciate this one for the amount of 1966 they had in it. It was very accurate to the Fear Street writing saga. Very much about like the love affair that would have occurred, yet again stopping before sex occurred, and then we skip the betrayal. The betrayal, and I think it is the Good family. I think they kept that name, right? So it is the Good family.
Yeah, because Nathan Good, I think, is his name.
Nathan Good does the betrayal of Sarah Fear, and she takes the blame, which would have happened. Definitely a man's word would have been taken over a woman's word.
Mm-hmm.
And she's killed, and her friends, bury her and try to give her this proper burial. And then it flashes back to 1994. And I think this ending scene of 1994 is really where this movie picks up. You have that big showdown in the mall with all of the antagonists, which I thought was pretty entertaining. Like, I thought that was like the best part of the film personally for me.
Yeah, because they find out that the Good family is behind all of this, and each generation learns like that they can use the witchcraft style powers to give themselves a position of power in society.
Right.
And yeah, so you get the mayor of because you get the mayor who's the brother of the sheriff in Shadyvale, and you get the mayor of Sunnyvale who is the brother. So it's like they use the power for him to become mayor, use the power for him to become sheriff. It's like, it's interesting, like how I'd never expected them to be the villains.
It really did follow the R.L. Stine writings in the sense that it built on each story, right? So you're learning more about the mystery, you're figuring out how people came together, and then you have the conclusion at the end, right? Where it's like, okay, how is stuff now? What do we actually see? We know that the Good family is evil, and they've been using their basically influence to punish Shadyside. And Sarah Fear has been trying to reach out this entire time and has been framed. So it really does give that kind of nice bookmark. I did love how, they kind of solved the problem a little bit with trying to get all the villains in the same cage at that given time. And I think that's incredible. Like, very much like the novel. And the ending is very much like it flashed back from the Fear Street saga, and it finished off at probably what would have been R.L. Stine's final novel, which is getting rid of the curse of Shadyside. Right. So, which I can't remember now if that did happen, because I read the book so long ago, but it was a kind of a perfect little ending to it. But again, very bubblegum horror-ish.
Oh, absolutely. But this is definitely, I think, the weaker of the three, but I like that last half is what makes this one still good, because the way they tie the story up and the intense like final confrontation happens.
Now, I know you like historical stuff. Did you enjoy this historical piece of this?
Yes, I really did. I wanted more of it, to be honest, like, because it's like only half the movie, like, and the movie's 2 hours long, so it's only an hour. And when it switched over to 1994, I'm going, oh, that was it. I wanted a little more. But
that's interesting, because I wasn't sure how you would feel about the historical piece, because it wasn't overly accurate. It was pretty like, no. I almost wanted them to pull a cell phone and start texting. Like, it was just really like,
I mean, it did feel like just too high quality, almost like it felt too modern.
I felt like they were doing a reenactment at some fucking historical site. You know what I mean? Like, it was really the different cultures. Like, this is not a case where something was culturally diverse. Okay, it was all fucking white people, Like
Right.
that's who was there. And if there was a person of color, they were probably being treated like shit. It's probably what was happening, right? So that was the only thing in this film that I thought was a little silly, but you know what, I can forgive that.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, because that's the issues I have with it. But like the story, I was kind of hooked into, just like the history part.
Right, absolutely. So would you recommend the series as a whole? Like, I feel like it ties very much into the books, and being a fan of the books, I think it did represent it. What, like, would you recommend for people to watch the entire series?
Yes, I think these are 3 films that I would highly recommend people watch for if they're trying to like fill out their 2021 lists, because this is they're all very entertaining to one extent or another. They're not
Yeah.
like some people really love them in our community, but I am about, I think they're good. I don't think they're great, but yeah, they're good. They're very entertaining films.
I would agree with you. I think they represented the Fear Street movies well, or Fear Street books well. And I think if you're an R.L. Stine fan, you'll probably have a little bit more of an enjoyment with them because of your love of the books. But understand that these were books that were written for teenagers that have been made into a movie. Like, this isn't going to be Saint Maud. This isn't going to be The Dark and the Wicked. This is
Right.
going to be very much a bubblegum into the dark level horror film that's going to come out. So as long as you go into it expecting that, you're going to have a good time with it. Now, for our Out of the Dark segment, what children's horror story would we like to see made into a movie? Do you have a story that you would like to see made into a movie?
I actually kind of went into what I was talking about earlier with Horror High. The
Oh, nice.
author I'd like to see, because the author was Nicholas Adams. Horror High is definitely like a low budget version of Fear Street in a way.
Yeah,
But
I guess so. Yeah.
it's only an 8-book series, but they were very cheesy and of their time. But I would love to see them turned into like a mini series of some sort or mini movie like these, because they definitely have that teenage angst of the 90s and like feel very Fear Street to me. Like it was definitely around the time that Fear Street was super popular and they just wanted someone else to cash in on it. But I feel I feel there could be some movies that could do the books justice.
Awesome. Were there continuous characters in that?
Yes, I believe there is. Like I believe I can't remember any of the characters' names because like I say, it's been so long and I'm very fucking forgetful. But like I think one's like main character starts off in one book and then like ancillary characters get their own book in the next book and the next book and stuff like that. So it's not like all just one main character focus. It's just all these teens at the school.
Okay. Cool. I think that would be fun. I think that would definitely be something that Netflix could jump into.
Yeah, I totally could see them doing this, especially
Right,
since Fear
absolutely.
Street became so popular.
Yeah, and it's done well. I think it's had pretty good reception. It has like a pretty high approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes for a horror movie. But yeah, I think they're pretty good films, and it'd be interesting to see Horror High. I remember hearing about Horror High, and I think there was even a TV show that was made at one point.
Oh,
like a cartoon.
I did not know that.
I think so. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of something else, but I do recall the series of books being made. For me, it would be the Babysitter series by R.L. Stine. I would love to see the ongoing saga of Jenny. Jenny Jefferson is the babysitter that goes through all 4 books, and all 4 books are actually very, very different. And they were released respectively 1989, 1991, 1993, and 1995. So I would love the opportunity to watch that character change as each story comes, because there's some stories where she's the protagonist and there's some where she's kind of the antagonist. And it's really, really interesting, the arch that they take. Actually, when I found out that R.L. Stine movies, the Fear Street saga was going to be, or the Fear Street movies were going to be made into films, I was really hoping they were going to do the Babysitter. But they didn't, which is fine. But I would absolutely love to see that. And I guess we'll have to remember when our episode comes out to do a poll on our page or just a Facebook question of what movie would you like to see? What story from your childhood, what horror story would you like to see made into a film?
Yeah, that'd be a great idea. And
it'd be interesting to see what other people would like to see brought to the screen, either through Netflix or Shudder or through theater.
Yeah, absolutely. And when it comes to this Babysitter series, the director, I forget his name, of the Fear Street book movies, says he would love to continue just building up Fear Street movies and just doing more Fear Street movies.
Well, I can see why. He did a really good job of the series, and it was very enjoyable. And, for what it was, yet again, you have to walk into these films knowing what they are, right? They're fluffy Fear Street films. They're not to be taken seriously. They're based on teenage angst books. So know that. It's like if maybe Christopher Pike, maybe a Christopher Pike book will come out too. That would be
cool.
really interesting,
yeah.
right? Who knows? Like there's kind of a genre that, with scary stories to tell in the dark and the Fear Street books being successful, that maybe we'll see more of these in the future. So
yeah, I mean, I'm hoping to, because like you said, this is kind of our teenage years, and this is kind of what we grew up on.
Absolutely.
It would be kind of fun to see them represented on the screen.
Absolutely. Well, thank you as always for joining us on our first episode back after our nice little vacation. Next episode will be on sororities because we're going back to September. I say going back to school. I'm the only one that goes back to school because I work and live within academics, but we'll be talking about some sorority films, some that we know very well and one that we've never even seen or heard of, I think, before. So hopefully it's not as bad as that prom movie I made us watch. Oh
boy, yeah.
But there's no promises, Scott. It may be super shit. We'll see how it goes.
I'm willing to take the bullet if need be.
Yeah, just don't show anybody else the film, okay? Don't torture anyone else with it if it's really shitty.
Right.
And we'll also be back with more top fives. We have a couple of guests lined up. Our top 5 episodes are extremely popular. A lot of people want to guest on them. A lot of people want to be on them. There's a break for Controllers Up, Cards Down. We will not have a new episode of that just due to Scott's schedule. He's very busy this month. He's got a lot going on. It was hard enough to record Friday Nightmares, let alone Controllers Up, Cards Down. So a new episode of that will come in September. And I can't think of anything else that's pressing that we need to let everyone know about.
No, I can't think of anything else. I'll say we'll just we are back to our regular schedule. So, our episodes will be dropping every 2 weeks again. So it's good to be back.
Good to be back for sure.
It was a nice break, but I'm ready to record again.
Absolutely. And also excited for Candyman.
Yes.
Yeah, hopefully. Now, I don't think we'll have watched Candyman next time we record.
No, but the next episode after that.
Yeah, by September, mid-September, we'll definitely have watched Candyman. So it'll be interesting to see our thoughts on that one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it and can't wait to talk about it, whether I like it or not. We shall see, but I have a feeling I will.
It will be interesting because I'm going to rewatch the first one before I go, because you and I got into a heated debate about it before. I think I need to rewatch it and see. I think it'll be really interesting to see how I feel rewatching it. Because I think it will be interesting. It'll be interesting to see where my thought falls. So I guess until next time, you can find us on the Legion Podcast Network. Please hit subscribe. Also, a big welcome back to Kill the Cast. By this point, they should have released, hopefully, their most recent episode. So big welcome back to Jerry, Jay, and Kenneth.
Yay, welcome back, guys.
Happy to see you guys back. Happy to see that you're doing well. And we look forward to sharing the feed with you again. I can't think of anything else, Scotty. So what else do you have to say to the good people?
Until next time, friends, remember to wipe your windows. Unpleasant dreams.
That's funny. Bye.